What if everything you believe about control is a lie? You believe you're in the driver's seat of your life, that your choices are free, that your success is in your hands. But what if that belief is the very thing keeping you trapped? You weren't born into control. You were born into chaos, into a body you didn't choose, a world you didn't build, and a mind that was already forming before you even knew you had one. We chase control because we fear collapse. But here's the secret no one tells you. Collapse is where transformation begins. From the moment we're old enough to speak, we're taught, take control of your life. Be the master of your destiny. Manifest your future. We obsess over planning apps, life coaches, morning routines, as if perfection can shield us from pain. But life doesn't care about your schedule. Death doesn't wait for your goals to align. Heartbreak doesn't ask for your permission. You don't control your heartbeat. You don't control your next thought. And you don't even control the weather in your own mind. The modern world has amplified this illusion. Social media shows us curated lives that seem effortlessly perfect. Self-help culture promises us formulas for guaranteed success. Technology gives us the feeling that everything should be instant, predictable, controllable. But underneath all this manufactured certainty, anxiety levels have never been higher. Depression rates continue to climb. People feel more isolated, more pressured, more exhausted than ever before. Because the more we try to control, the more we become aware of how little we actually can control. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." They didn't say, take control of everything. They said, let go of everything that isn't truly yours. And ironically, what's truly yours is often the one thing you've ignored. Look around you right now. The air you're breathing, you didn't create it. The language you think in, you inherited it. Even your deepest beliefs about yourself were shaped by voices you heard before you could question them. We are not self-made. We are interdependent beings, woven into a tapestry we can glimpse but never fully see. Every atom in your body was once part of a star. Every breath you take has been breathed by countless others. Every thought you think builds upon the thoughts of those who came before you. You are not separate. You are not solely responsible for your existence. And recognizing this isn't defeat, it's liberation. Carl Jung spent his life studying the parts of the self we reject, the shadow. All that we hide, suppress, or pretend isn't there. And the more we try to dominate our lives with order, the louder our shadow becomes. You try to silence your anger, but it leaks out in sarcasm and quiet bitterness. You try to control your image, but you slowly lose your sense of identity. You try to appear fearless, but anxiety creeps in like a fog you can't explain. Until you make the unconscious conscious, Jung wrote, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. We think we're in control, but we're often just passengers, being driven by wounds we've never looked at. And here's the tragedy. Control is not healing. It's a distraction from healing. Think about the last time you tried to force something. A relationship, a career change, a habit. How much energy did you spend pushing against reality? How exhausted did you become? The unconscious mind doesn't respond to force. It responds to understanding, to curiosity, to the gentle question, what are you trying to tell me? Your depression isn't something to conquer. Your anxiety isn't an enemy to defeat. They are messengers carrying information about needs you haven't met, truths you haven't faced. When we approach our inner world like a dictator, we create an internal rebellion. The parts of us we try to suppress don't disappear. They go underground and sabotage us from the shadows. But when we approach our inner world like a loving friend, something miraculous happens. The anxiety begins to speak its truth. I'm afraid you're not safe. The anger reveals its message. Someone crossed your boundaries. The sadness shows its gift. You're grieving something important. This is shadow work, not the Instagram version with pretty journals and affirmations, but the real work of meeting the parts of yourself you've been running from. It requires tremendous courage, because it means admitting that the person you've been pretending to be isn't the whole truth of who you are. Western culture has taught us a dangerous lie, that we are separate from everything around us, separate from nature, from each other, from the cosmos itself. This illusion of separation is what makes us crave control. If we are isolated islands, then we must protect our shores. If we are alone, then we must be self-sufficient. If we are disconnected, then we must manipulate our environment to survive. But ancient wisdom traditions knew better. The Taoists spoke of Wu Wei, effortless action, not forcing but flowing, not conquering but harmonizing. Indigenous cultures understood that we are not separate from the web of life. We are expressions of it, temporary patterns in an infinite dance. When you truly understand this, not just intellectually but in your bones, the desperate need for control begins to dissolve. You are not fighting against life. You are life, experiencing itself through your particular lens. The breath you take connects you to every tree. The carbon in your body was forged in the heart of dying stars. The thoughts you think arise from a collective unconscious shared by all humanity. You are not alone. You never were, and you never could be. But here's what happens when we believe we're separate. We develop what psychologists call hypervigilance. We scan our environment constantly for threats. We hoard resources because we fear scarcity. We compete instead of collaborate. We build walls instead of bridges. The separate self is always afraid, always defending, always trying to prove its worth, always seeking to control its environment to feel safe. But the connected self, the self that knows it's part of the whole, that self can rest, that self can trust, that self can contribute to the dance of life instead of trying to choreograph it. Why do we fear chaos so much? Because we think pain is wrong, because we think failure is weakness, because we've been sold a lie, that success is a straight line and suffering is a mistake. But the greatest thinkers, the wisest mystics, understood something most of us forget. Chaos is the beginning of wisdom. Nietzsche once said, "You must still have chaos in yourself to give birth to a dancing star." Stars are not born in serenity. They are born in collapse, in pressure, in death and rebirth. Just like us. You will not become who you're meant to be by controlling everything. You will become by falling apart and building again consciously. Pain is not the enemy. Uncertainty is not the enemy. They are the doorway. Control seeks to close the door, but freedom walks through it. Consider the butterfly in its cocoon. If you tried to help it by cutting open the chrysalis, you would kill it. The struggle to emerge is what strengthens its wings. The difficulty is not an obstacle to transformation. It is the mechanism of transformation. Your breakdowns are breakthroughs trying to happen. Your confusion is clarity in disguise. Your emptiness is space for something new to be born. Nature doesn't control. It trusts. It allows. It surrenders to the deeper intelligence that flows through all things. Think about how a tree grows. It doesn't anxiety about whether it's growing fast enough. It doesn't compare itself to the tree next to it. It doesn't try to control the weather or the seasons. It simply responds to what is present. Light, water, soil, time. And in that response, it becomes magnificent. The tree doesn't grow despite the storms. It grows because of them. The wind makes its roots deeper. The rain makes its leaves greener. The seasons teach it when to bloom and when to rest. What if you treated your chaos the same way? What if instead of fighting your difficulties, you asked, "How is this teaching me to grow? What is this storm revealing about my roots? How is this winter preparing me for spring?" Chaos isn't the enemy of growth. It's the condition for growth. Order creates maintenance. Chaos creates evolution. Let go. Not because you've failed, but because holding on is costing you your peace. You cannot control what people think of you. You cannot control how the world sees you. You cannot control how long you'll be here. But you can choose to respond with grace, to act with integrity, to walk into the storm without pretending it's sunny. That is real power, not domination, not perfection, but presence. True control isn't about fixing everything. It's about standing still when everything else is falling apart. Buddhist teachings tell us that clinging is the root of suffering. And in that simple truth, a door opens. If you let go of needing control, you create space for something else. Flow, clarity, purpose, peace. Surrender is not giving up. It's giving in to a wisdom larger than your individual will. It's recognizing that you are part of something magnificent, a cosmic dance that has been unfolding for billions of years. Your role is not to choreograph the dance. Your role is to move with it. When you stop trying to control the river, you discover you are the river. When you stop trying to predict the wind, you learn to sail. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming responsive. It means acting from a place of alignment rather than resistance. There's a difference between giving up and letting go. Giving up is collapse born from exhaustion. Letting go is expansion born from wisdom. When you give up, you stop caring. When you let go, you start loving. When you give up, you become bitter. When you let go, you become free. Surrender is not defeat. It's the recognition that there are forces at work in your life that are wiser than your worried mind, more powerful than your individual will, more loving than your fearful heart. To surrender is to say, I will do my part with integrity and passion, and I will trust the universe to do its part. It's to plant the seed and trust the soil. It's to write the book and trust the reader. It's to love fully and trust the outcome to love itself. There is an art to non-doing. Not the non-doing of laziness or avoidance, but the non-doing of trust. The gardener doesn't make the seeds grow. She creates conditions for growth and steps back. The musician doesn't force the music. He attunes himself to harmony and allows it to flow through him. The wise teacher doesn't cram knowledge into students. She asks questions that awaken their own understanding. This is the art of Wu Wei. Action without force, effort without strain, doing by not doing. In your life, this might look like listening more than speaking, responding rather than reacting, creating space rather than filling it. It means trusting that your intuition knows things your rational mind cannot figure out. It means believing that solutions can emerge from stillness. It means having faith that the right opportunities will appear when you're truly ready for them. This doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It doesn't make you passive. It makes you powerful in a way that force never could. But learning Wu Wei takes practice. Your conditioning will resist it. Your ego will tell you that not forcing means not caring. Your anxiety will whisper that if you're not pushing, nothing will happen. This is where the real work begins. Learning to distinguish between inspired action and compulsive action. Learning to feel the difference between flow and force. Learning to recognize when you're swimming with the current and when you're fighting against it. Start small. In conversation, practice listening without planning your response. In traffic, practice breathing instead of rushing. In conflict, practice understanding instead of defending. Notice how different this feels. Notice how much energy you save. Notice how much more present you become. Notice how solutions appear when you stop trying so hard to find them. There comes a moment in every person's journey when they must choose. Will I live from fear or from trust? Fear says, control everything or you'll be hurt. Trust says, open your heart and see what wants to emerge. Fear says, plan for every possibility. Trust says, be present for what's actually happening. Fear says, protect yourself at all costs. Trust says, vulnerability is the birthplace of courage. Living from trust doesn't mean being naive. It doesn't mean ignoring red flags or making reckless decisions. It means developing a deep faith in your ability to respond wisely to whatever arises. It means trusting your intuition as much as your intellect. It means trusting that mistakes are lessons, not failures. It means trusting that the universe is not out to get you. It's out to grow you. When you live from trust, decisions become easier, not because the choices are clearer, but because you're no longer paralyzed by the need to guarantee outcomes. You choose based on alignment rather than anxiety. You move toward what feels alive rather than what feels safe. You follow your curiosity rather than your conditioning. And something beautiful happens. Life begins to meet you halfway. Opportunities appear that you couldn't have planned. People enter your life who support your growth. Synchronicities emerge that feel like grace. This isn't magical thinking. This is what happens when you stop swimming against the current and allow yourself to be carried by something larger than your individual will. You were never meant to control life. You were meant to meet it, to greet it with honesty, humility, and awe. So let go. Let go of the illusion that you're the architect of every detail. Let go of the idea that control equals safety. Let go of the voice that says you must always have it all together. because sometimes the most courageous act is to trust the unknown. In the letting go, you don't lose yourself. You finally meet yourself. Not the perfect version, not the curated mask, but the real one. Raw, real, a little broken, but fully alive. Let go, find peace, reclaim yourself.